Player 2. A term used for another person in a multiplayer game joining from a separate input device. There are many ways to connect to Player 2. An extra controller, another person online, and many more options. However, I always found myself being Player 2. Growing up with an older brother and being the youngest out of my cousins meant I never owned a gaming console myself, which also meant I was never Player 1. The only opportunity I had to play video games was playing on a TV with half of the screen from my side. It's not a bad thing, but it's just where my background from video games comes from. Halo and COD are the big ones that come to mind. I vividly remember the split screens games used to have for local multiplayer, and always being on the right or on the bottom half of the screen, and shitting on my brother every time. Just kidding. However, this didn't sustain for very long, as split screen isn't the nicest thing for both my brother and I to experience. So, as my brother would play COD online on his PS3, I started gaming on our shitty little family laptop that could run Roblox at like max 30 FPS. Maybe less, that's a bit generous. But one thing still didn't change for me, and that was playing multiplayer games. I found out about Minecraft through my friends and mostly played Minecraft servers throughout elementary school. I of course knew about the survival aspect of Minecraft, but never really played it as it didn't interest me that much compared to playing with my friends at the time. This was a constant theme in my choice of games I played. No matter what, another person was there. Co-op, online, PvP, PvE. I did eventually get my own PS3, and the trend pretty much continued. I mostly played games like Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, MW2 Online, Dungeon Defenders 1, Skate 3. This shit was it back then. Little Big Planet, and PlayStation All-Stars. I still have some videos of me recording me playing this game on my fucking big ass TV. All of these games were multiplayer with an exclusion of Modern Warfare 2 campaign, but I never really played that because that shit scared me. Something about being in a world with no one else was pretty daunting. After I built my first computer, I installed League and Overwatch, and this is pretty much where I fully transitioned from being a controller player to a keyboard and mouse, and I picked up other games like CSGO along with it. Besides that, I did dabble in the Battle Royale trend. I played a lot of PUBG, wasn't really good at it, but hey, that was fun. And Fortnite. Fortnite was something I was surprisingly good at. I don't know, the building mechanic kind of just clicked with me, but it never really got anywhere because Fortnite didn't really have a ranking system at the time, and the only thing you could flex was posting your dub to your Snapchat. Damn, what a time. After the Battle Royale scene, I didn't really play any other games besides Riot games.
Hey, Phoenix game, what?
Oh, I hit him?
On side, ring left side. Two on side.
Last player
One
standing.
flank, dude.
One enemy remaining.
You have a nade. To your right, above you.
At first, I was very scared of ranked and competitive play in these games. Growing up with Minecraft, I was a very casual gamer, even though I started off with Halo and COD. It's difficult to pinpoint where I got into the grind of ranked games, but my best guess would be around the time I played CSGO. I never really got far in CS ranks, maybe Gold Nova 1, which isn't that good, but hitting that gold and getting out of silver felt really satisfying. The climb for a higher rank became so much more appealing, and I started to feel the rush of close games and the relief of closing one out.
I got mercy! Heal me! I'm done. Where is the shield?
I got
Winnable! Heal me up! Keep me up!
I'm coming. Rip.
Both healers are dead. I don't know about
Y'all got it. Y'all got this.
Yankee with no brim!
Yeah, I was a kid during that, so, you know, shit happens. Soon, it got to the point where if it wasn't competitive or if it didn't have a ranking system, then I didn't want to play it. Of course, as with anything competitive, you also feel the overwhelming weight of defeat, and sometimes it can overpower the feeling of a win. I think I felt this the most when I played Overwatch because the game was so fast paced and it can really get your emotions riled up. I never really got far in any ranking system. Highest I got in League was like Silver, Gold Nova in CSGO. I think the lowest or second division like Rainbow Six Siege, and like Platinum Overwatch. But it all kind of changed when Valorant came out. At first, Valorant was just a breath of fresh air, something different to the pace of CSGO. It combined my favorite competitive games at the time, Overwatch and CS, which got me excited. Deep down, I knew I was competitive, just because of my mentality when I played Overwatch. I got pretty far in the Valorant ranks during beta, hitting low diamond. This is a pretty big deal for me because as a low elo player in most competitive games, diamond seems like the threshold to separate the low elo bad players to good high elo players. When the game officially came out, I started to take it more seriously, getting a warm-up routine and constantly striving to improve something about my gameplay, whether it was aim, movement, or game sense. And I saw results. I climbed and climbed and eventually hit Immortal, which at the time was like top 2% of total players in Valorant. And that was truly something special to me, as this was the highest rank I've ever been in any game and was considered good. I became addicted to this grind, putting in more hours, striving for better and better results until I hit my peak. Burnout was a huge issue for me in these games because it would be the only game I would play at a time. Nothing new and exciting was coming out, and I never really felt like going back to Overwatch or League fully, so I kind of just had this extra time to myself. This is when I started to watch YouTubers play these big AAA games. I've always wanted to try playing these games out myself, but it was such a foreign concept to play games alone, as I've grown up my whole life sharing games with someone else. Going through everything alone was scary. I never played COD Zombies alone, and the same with Campaign. Even boss fights were so intimidating to me that it would be reason enough for me to never touch these games. But then, February 25th of 2022 came around. The release of Elden Ring. Elden Ring was a turning point in my gaming timeline. I've known about these single player games, but I've never experienced them fully myself. Always through another set of eyes and never fully immersed. Elden Ring was the first Souls games that got my attention. I've heard about them being super difficult and never really found that appealing, but something about the open world and the vibe the game gave drew me in. The first time you open that door and see the world envelop around you, or just getting to a new point of interest and looking at the scenery. Leyndell is one of my favorites for moments like these, and being in that moment just felt so surreal. Following the Graces guide since the beginning of the games, standing there, looking at the towering Erdtree looming over you, remembering how far away it was, and yet here you are, close enough to its base, finally being able to see the minute details in the goal you've been seeking for. These moments felt slow and calming. The complete opposite of what you would actually feel in combat when you're fighting tiny enemies that can kill you in an instant. Now, it would make sense for me to play other Souls games, but I didn't. It's still the only Souls game I've been to this day. But hey, I'm still working on it, don't worry. However, it did introduce me to more single player games. What separates games like Valorant and Counter-Strike to games like Breath of the Wild? There are a multitude of things you can say, but for me, it's the players. Valorant is a team game, one where you need 5 friends or strangers, while in Breath of the Wild, you only need yourself. Breath of the Wild is a great example of this. You play as Link, who wakes up to a wasted Hyrule with no one around. No companion by your side to speak to you as you explore the barren lands of Hyrule by yourself. Another game that I enjoyed was God of War 2018, a Norse sequel to the original God of War that follows our protagonist's father Kratos and his son Atreus. There are many things about this game that bring out Norse mythology into its world, but I think one of the key factors into the WoW aspect in its presentation is its sheer scale of creatures that inhabit the Norse world. The first time meeting the World Serpent or the Dead Giant are special moments in the game that really help define its world. These moments, although short, completely freeze your world as you react to the scene. I've already glazed Elden Ring already in this video and other games like Nier throughout my previous videos on my channel, but a little quick rundown of just one special moment from Nier Automata was the opening sequence into the amusement park. As everything coats together, the music, visuals, the gameplay, all together to create this indescribable feeling and vibe that really locks you into the zone of the game. This is very specific to my experience of gaming, as I do tend to gravitate towards the action-adventure games, but everyone has a different style. Or other games like this can still evoke an immense amount of stress, so they would rather play comfy games like Minecraft, Stardew Valley, or Animal Crossing. Everyone is different, and you can only really tell what games you like by playing more and experimenting. let's go back to action games. They may seem to be filled with stress, terrifying locations, action elements with almost everything trying to kill you, difficult bosses, and even the story of the game is stressful. There are many challenges that people will face when playing these games, and yes, it will be stressful. It purposefully is. It's to build tension for the player, or else the game would be a snooze fest. Like any competitive game, a close game will always be more exciting than completely stomping the enemy team. This is all for a reason. If you've gone through middle school English, you should know about the basic principles about writing a plot. You have your exposition to rising action and into a climax. It's a pretty simple concept, with other writing devices to deviate from this, but the main takeaway I want to get from this is falling action. A story filled with tension is exciting, but it can only last for so long. You can't always have constant rising tension because it becomes overloaded, which can lead to exhaustion or boredom for a viewer. A story needs a moment of nothing. Now, what do I mean by nothing? Obviously, I don't mean there's nothing happening at all, but rather there is much less stress in the scene compared to what usually happens. In stories like the minigames I mentioned before, there is constant action, where it's the norm, and a moment of nothing is peculiar. It's different. And it's a nice change of pace for the viewer. An extremely good example of this is in Berserk. You may know Berserk because of its artwork, or because of the thousands of people that glaze over this manga. It's all deserved, by the way. But that's not what I'm here to discuss. Berserk is an action-filled manga, tons of fights and amazing direction through the artwork and an intense plot to back it up. With story arcs like The Black Swordsman and The Golden Age, there are many incredible moments of insane climatic twists and turns that many can point out in this manga. But something that I see many people forget are the panels of Guts just sitting there, staring off into the sky. If you binge read Berserk, you know the constant scroll to read more and click the next chapter to see what unfolds in the story. But for me, moments like these make me completely stop and really appreciate the panel fully. It's easy to get caught in the motion of it all, as the action and storytelling are one of the best of its kind. But slow moments like these are so crucial to let the reader stop and take a breather to digest all the information given to them. It's like finishing a movie and going out to the theater to process what happened. You're not going to get everything in the middle of watching, but analyzing these moments with full context for your understanding. This is not something exclusive to storytelling, but can be applied to games like I mentioned. In all of the action, it's easy to be engulfed into its world, but a step back and you'll feel it. The overwhelming mood of your surroundings, the visuals and music combining together, the world you take for granted as it allows you to be fully immersed in its characters and the story it tells. Fighting one of the hardest bosses in the game can be very thrilling in the moment, but after the boss is done, you kinda just sit there and let it all sink in that you've done it, finally. And to me, this is what truly brings games to life. Player 2. A term I've known since the start of my gaming lifetime, and whether it be that extra controller connected, or another cog in the system of a team, I've never been put in a situation to call myself player 1 until now. It is through the lens of the single player that I am able to put in perspective the differences in the ways people experience different genres of games and how this has affected my outlook on my own life. I've learned plenty of things through experiences like this that affect my outlook on life. With everything going on in my life, time moves extremely fast. As many say, the world doesn't stop for you, and they are right. We're always in this constant state of motion, school, working, or studying. I remember hearing that we were getting a 2-week break from school, and here I am in my second year of uni, nearing my 20s, thinking about internships and my future career, always looking ahead. And then I realized something. I took a step back, and it was calming. We're always so caught up in life. Will I pass this exam? Am I going to be successful? What if I fail? What will become of me? Questions I've asked myself about the impending future to come. To many, the future is exciting, filled with opportunities to no end. But for me, it's filled with uncertainty. Uncertain of a future I'll be happy about. However, you're not living your life in the future, but in the present. When I look back on the things that I've done that were so stressful, like a big class project, an exam I wasn't ready for, or a big event at work, and here I am doing fine as ever, I've realized that I've been through my most stressful moments in life and almost never think about them now because in my head, I'm at a constant state of stressing about what's next. It wasn't until I took this step back that I realized I lived through a lot of experiences and I'm still okay. And so will you. You're living in the present, so enjoy it while you're in it. Like the popular saying goes, you don't know you were in the good days until you're out of it. So capture it now as best as you can. Even down the line, you'll reminisce on these good times. And remember, you're living in the moment, and that moment can be a moment of nothing. And that's perfectly fine. Now, I'm not telling you to drop your competitive games like CS or League and pick up controllers to play Dark Souls. Hell, I still even play CS2 and Overwatch still. It's just that maybe a change can do something for you, as it did for me when I played these games. It can give you a new perspective than just the angry tilting nature of these competitive games. The stressful yet chill nature of a single player game with just you and your thoughts is something I think every gamer should try to experience once in their lifetime.